Good afternoon, everybody. I'm sorry to be late. I promised to be here probably half an hour ago, but I was stuck somewhere in the town. Good to be with you. I will have a short statement, and then I will take some questions. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. As a country whose airspace has been violated by 2 U.S. spy drones, Iran was entitled to participate in the Council's meeting today. This is our right under the UN Charter. We expressed our readiness and requested to participate in that meeting. However, unfortunately, we were denied of exercising this right. Today, the Council is being briefed unilaterally by one party, the US, who is abusing its position as the Council's permanent member to misguide this body in order to advance its anti-Iran policy. We have irrefutable information on the incident to provide to the Council. According to our credible, detailed, and precise technical information on the path, location, and points of intrusion and impact of the U.S. spy drone, there is no doubt that when targeted, the drone was flying over the Iranian territorial sea. This was done after several radio warnings, all of which were disregarded. Iran's action was in full conformity with international law. Iran acted in self-defense in accordance with Article 51 of the UN Charter. Additionally, on the same day, another U.S. spy aircraft with 35 people on board violated Iran's airspace. However, Iranian armed forces exercised maximum restraint and no action was taken against the invading aircraft. In another instance, in less than 1 month, another U.S. spy drone entered our airspace on 26 May 2019, and we didn't act against that either. Iran has consistently recorded its protest against all such violations and provocative actions through the U.S. interest section in the Embassy of Switzerland in Tehran. There are only a few examples of provocative actions and adventurism by the U.S. in violating Iran's borders and airspace. Conversely, Iran's practices indicate that while having an inherent right to defend our territorial integrity and enjoying all required capabilities, as well as resolute determination to exercise this right, we want neither war nor an escalation of tension in the Persian Gulf region. But certain circles from inside and outside of the region, through dangerous acts, are attempting to escalate the tensions. This helps them to justify further foreign military buildup in the region and sell more American and Western arms to certain countries. To pursue this policy, they resort to deception, fabrications, and disinformation. One clear example is the unfounded claim of the U.S. against Iran regarding the recent oil tankers incident, which were not even supported by some of the closest allies of the United States. We categorically rejected that claim. How could Iran be benefited from attacking tankers destined to Japan, while simultaneously its Prime Minister, in his historic visit to Iran, was meeting with the highest Iranian officials? The claim could not be more absurd. The U.S. decision today to impose more sanctions against Iran is yet another indication of continued U.S. hostility against the Iranian people and their leaders, and that the U.S. has no respect for international law and order, as well as the views of overwhelming majority of the international community. To ease tensions in the broader Persian Gulf region, the U.S. must stop its military adventurism in our region, as well as its economic war and terrorism against the Iranian people. There is also a need for a genuine regional dialogue on regional security. We have already expressed our readiness for such a dialogue and have asked the Secretary General to play a role in this regard. Thank you. I will take some questions, please.
Ambassador, thank you. Thank you, Ambassador. It's Pamela Falk from CBS News. You mentioned regional dialogue. Under what circumstances would Iran sit down with the United States? And can you share the proof that you have that the drone was over Iranian airspace publicly with the media? Thank you.
On the first question, I have already talked to the Secretary General, to his deputy, about the need for the United Nations to take the lead on finding a way out of the current crisis by bringing together regional countries under the umbrella of the United Nations. The mandate is there. Paragraph 8 of Resolution 598 gives a mandate to the Secretary General to use his good offices. So we can do it easily, and I suppose we are consulting with our friends, and let's see that what we can do. On the dialogue,
with Iran sit down with the United States?
On dialogue with the U.S., I think everybody agrees that dialogue has certain rules and certain regulations. You cannot start a dialogue with somebody who is threatening you, who is intimidating you. Today, we just witnessed that the United States imposed another set of sanctions against Iran. How can we start a dialogue with somebody whose primary preoccupation is to put more sanctions on Iran? So the atmosphere of such a dialogue is not ready yet. What was the second question?
The second question was, can you provide the proof to the media and to the public that the drone was over Iranian?
Yeah, we have already sent a letter to the Secretary General indicating the coordinates of the incident, and I have also some pictures. I have these are the pictures which clearly shows, these are radar pictures, clearly shows that the U.S. drone was in the Iranian territorial waters. So if you need more information, these are another close-up picture. If you need more information, we can provide you with the information. But as I said, there is no doubt that that drone was in fact in the Iranian territorial, over the Iranian territorial waters.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ambassador, Edith Lederer from the Associated Press. Secretary General Antonio Guterres has warned that escalating activity in the Gulf would be a catastrophe for the region, and he has called on all parties to de-escalate and to avoid provocations. He also urged all parties to maintain nerves of steel. What is your reaction to the Secretary General's call?
I cannot agree more with him, because the situation is really dangerous, and all we should do is try to de-escalate. In fact, the question should be addressed to the United States, who has initiated an economic war against Iran, who has initiated an economic terrorism against the Iranian people. At the same time, the United States has brought a large number of fleets into our region. Naval armada is in our region. So in order to de-escalate, the U.S. should take the steps in order to put aside their armada from our region and also move away from economic warfare against the Iranian people.
Thank you, Ambassador. Did the U.S. provide their own evidence of the fact that the drone, as they say, is like flying over international waters?
I have seen some reports that they have produced some coordinates, but it is interesting to note that it took a long time for the United States to provide even that coordinate. We immediately, after we announced that the U.S. drone was shut down, in a matter of few hours, we just informed the general public all over the world what was the circumstance, what were the circumstances, and what exactly the coordinates were. So everybody was somehow astonished as to why it took some time for the U.S. to provide such an information. But as I said, we have no doubt whatsoever that the drone was targeted when it was flying over the Iranian territorial waters.
Masood Haider from Dawn of Pakistan. I just want to know that in order to bring the tensions down, is that one of your preconditions, is that you will talk to the United States through the United Nations, or there is no precondition and that you will not talk until the tensions have been brought down by the United States? What's the position now?
There are two issues which should not be mingled. One issue is the nuclear deal and the nuclear issue, and the other one is the situation, the security situation in the Persian Gulf region. On the first issue, I think the question should be addressed to the United States why it left the negotiating table, why the United States, against the will of international community, withdrew from the nuclear deal. So there is a very clear path towards implementation of the nuclear deal, and all the pressure should be upon the United States to explain why it did leave the nuclear deal. On the second issue, the security in the Persian Gulf, what we have said to the Secretary General is the fact that the regional countries should get together under the umbrella of the United Nations with the good offices of the Secretary General being employed, so that we will see a new region for the generations to come in our neighborhood.
Michelle Nichols from Reuters. Just to clarify, sorry, on this issue of talks between the United States and Iran, the US President has said publicly that he's willing to talk to Iran. Has there been any kind of private messages passed to Iran to in any way try and set this up? And under what conditions would Iran agree to such talks? And then just another separate question on the nuclear deal, because we all know of your involvement in that. Iran has said it's going to breach part of the deal in the next couple of weeks. Have the Europeans threatened to spark snapback here at the UN Security Council? Are you concerned that the US, even though they've left the deal, might in some way try to spark snapback?
First of all, on the second question, the U.S. is not in a position to snap back because they are not part of the deal. They have already withdrawn from the deal, and they are not participant to the nuclear deal, the JCPOA. While I'm on the second question, we have had discussions with our European partners in Tehran, in the capitals, in Brussels. We are not ready to receive any intimidation or any threat from nobody. Our interlocutors are aware that Iran is not a country to be frightened, to be intimidated. We have been discussing how to move forward with our European colleagues. It is incumbent upon them to compensate what we have lost as a result of the U.S. withdrawal from the nuclear deal, and we are at this process to tell them what exactly should be done. As far as Iran's announcement is concerned about the nuclear deal and how Iran is looking at this agreement, we have been in contact with our European colleagues, with everybody, telling them that it is not a breach of the JCPOA. What we have been doing is to act in accordance with JCPOA, the nuclear deal. Article 26 and 36 of the nuclear deal give us the permission to lower our commitments, since we have seen the total withdrawal from the U.S., which is the total disregard of JCPOA as well as the UN Security Council Resolution 2231. We are given this right by the nuclear deal itself, so it is not a breach of the nuclear deal. So we are talking to them, and we have made the decision to go in accordance with the phases that we have announced. In 2 weeks' time, there will be the end of phase 1. We hope that before we reach to that point, our European colleagues and friends would act expeditiously so that there is no need for Iran to go to the second phase. And if we receive the assurance, if we are given the things that we have already announced, I think we can easily reverse that decision. As far as the dialogue between Iran and the U.S. is concerned, as I explained earlier, we are not in the business of succumbing to pressure. The U.S. has been applying pressure against Iran, and today we witnessed that they have added more sanctions. So nobody is in a clear mind can accept to have a dialogue with somebody who is threatening you with more sanctions. So that, as long as this threat is there is no way that Iran and the U.S. can start a dialoog.
Just a quick follow-up. Did the Europeans tell you that snapback is on the table if Iran breaches the deal as you've announced will happen in a couple of weeks?
Our discussions with our European colleagues are ongoing. So we discussed a number of issues, but as I said, we cannot accept any intimidation or any threat from anybody. Thank you very much.